get started with exercising. Should you major in psychology? Is a psychology degree worth it, or is it useless? If you do the psychology degree, do you mind a job with it? I answer all of the questions in this video and help you decide the psychology of the graduate degree at the grade B. Hi, Gramico. You are a psychology major in UK, and I got a PhD from psychology in venture and professor at Cambridge University and mentor a lot of undergraduate students, some into pursuing psychology and was major and some outcome the future in psychology major. I'm really figuring help for you in this video, but before to get that, I need to share my orange story with you, dear unhealthy one. I almost found a high school and very jacket and recalled psychology, so I came years to end the computer psychology and the very first class I had. My very first pair, my first lecture is the induction psychology actually teacher. We're over here. From one the classroom here, window curtain and the class, and I remember I sat all the way in the back and grasped actually into C, actually hope in. Oh my God, this is it. This were my classroom. I sat in the back. The behavior and interact a regular novel, synchronism all the way to the first class I worked in, and I wanted to take every single psychology class I possibly heard. His classes completely chilled away. I saw everything around it gave me, thought it can give me superpower. I saw the relationship in my own thoughts. A situation completely differently, and it's worth answering all these questions I always have about humanity. There's a why we do a thing we do. Comment below. At the end, the Michael story as well. Well, why you discover psychology, love psychology. This is why I think psychology is such a popular mean major because the more you stand here, the better you understand yourself, the better you understand your relationship in the life situation you're in. And I had no clue what I will do is major, but what I knew is for the best, but I'm the kind of fun taking classes. I was learning a lot for the first time of my life as a good student. And I figured out the career opportunity, job, professor, figured out the rate. I need to interact here because that is my big problem in psychology. A lot of psychology major make the decision to major in psychology. They ponder early psychology classes, but the early psychology classes are very seductive. They like the best hits of psychology and the classes are actually a lot easier to the classes you will have later on the major why is that Psychology is so popular in the psychology a huge money ledger for university. They fill with 50, 80 or 100, but sometimes 150, someone way more than that. A student and as professional, and I have taught those classes, all I can really do is have been more broad to try exam. There may be a little bit of in essay you don't really go that in depth. I can do that through the assessment of students the understanding of period and the material also very surface level across it again at the bad head of psychology. The real reality of being psychology major doesn't hit you until much later as you had today hard classes and you had the biopsychological and so does the psychology and now also when the both bookie get we all exposure to career approach psychology. Let me let's go get outside and go give you the reality, what you're gonna imagine it. There's a core by E, the psychology, and right at the core of it, the psychology, the scientist is body, a thought, a feeling, everything goes around psychology. But psychology is very diverse. You are studying a little bit of many subjects within psychology. Stuff like cognitive psychology with all about thoughts and memory, process information, biological psychology make biology and psychology together, understanding the nervous system and how it works. Development psychology, which is about how do we change and we get older. Social psychology, which is all about how social context influence what we think and how we act. And the clinical psychology will look more at what happened from the go wrong and people's experience problem and very function if higher trickle. Actually, Akaya could be about more, but it basically is psychology. And when you majoring in psychology, get a lot of it. Of all these, a lot of psychology view them all. What unite is thing together. View like psychology is theory. You learn the biggest idea in psychology. You learn science, how what the science mathematics apply and as psychology. Along with that come ethics. You all learn tricky psychological terms that were done and how we now acquire to do experiment ethical way. Along with that come critical thinking skill will look at research and evaluate what priming makes sense, what priming doesn't. For relation across the ocean and have you to be think through all these things. And you also learn the critical skill of communication, learning how to communicate, draw thoughts and rigid form, and a social form, teamwork, and through written teamwork. I don't want to be granted at all. This is psychology and the major what in develop new skill. And this what make psychology you look all is a lasting basic skill you can use to apply to a lot of different things. That also what means psychology good training first. During the first and studying psychology, a before professional psychology you can go and do something. I major psychology. But psychology is also a sport. So what that mean? In psychology it connected many other different scientists and other fields. So people in other fields often cite in their work. Some of the fields include marketing, business, artificial sciences, written psychology, artificial intelligence, and sociology. My model breaking public health. To the second was the title. Should you major in psychology is a psychology degree? What is art and its useless? What can you do with psychology degree and you find a job with it? I'm an answer all the question in this video and help you decide if psychology undergrad degree is the right fit for you. I am chemical psychology. I do a psychology major in year two, and I got a freedom graduate psychology and even become the assistant professor at Columbia University. I can mentor a lot of undergraduate university. Certain some into pursuing psychology and a major of some out of pursuing psychology. I mean, have you figure out what help you for you? And this video, before I get that, I need to share my origin story. In the year of 2001, I almost flunked at high school and got a job before the college. I came here to the community college, and the very first class I had on my first day of my first semester is introductory psychology, so I actually take it right over here. And in front of one classroom, in front of one class, I remember I said all the way back because the closet we don't get actually see are actually open. Oh my god, did it is. This was my classroom. I said I sat in the back right over here and then as the semester went out went closer all the way to the front of class. I walked and I wanted to take every single psychology class and possibly could. This class I took completely turned away. I saw everything around, gave me felt like gave me superpower, like I saw relationship, my own thoughts, and situation completely different as if we're answering all these questions our own way had about humanity, our species, and why we do the thing we do. Comment below if you see anything like your story at all, or why you discover psychology, not psychology, and one the psychology such a popular major is because the more you study is better to understand the self, the better to understand the relationship in the life situation and have no clue that I'm not doing of nature, but I knew but the but coming a ton of fun taking classes. I will learn a lot. For the first time in my life, a student. And I figured out the career opportunity job professor 50 hours later. I need to interrupt here because that's a problem in psychology. A lot of psychology majors make decisions in major in psychology based on their early psychology class, but early psychology class are very seductive, like the bad hits of psychology. And these classes are actually a lot easier than class you could have later in the major. Why is that? Because psychology is a popular interest that costs a huge money maker for university. They fill with 50, 80, or 100, sometimes 150, sometimes way more than student as a professional I have touched. What can we do? Have a big multiple choice exam? Maybe a little bit of an essay. You don't really to go that in depth and can do a thorough assessment of my student. Understanding of criteria and material also very surface level is a low greater again, like the basic of psychology. The real reality of being psychology major doesn't hit you until much later. That's when you have taken the harder classes, matter biopsychology class, statistics in psychology, and that's also when you probably get a real exposure to career opportunities in psychology. So let's go outside when the gun give you in the reality. I want to imagine that this bicycle room is the psychology major. And right at the core of this is psychology, the science study of thoughts, feeling, and behavior. Everything goes around psychology, but psychology is very diverse, and you actually are studying a little bit of many subfields within psychology, stuff like Cognitive psychology is all about thoughts and memory, and we process information. Biological psychology that connect biology and psychology together, understanding the nervous system and how it works. And developmental psychology, which is about how do we change as we get older. Social psychology, which is about how social contexts influence what we think and how we act. Then the clinical psychology we look more at what happens when the things go wrong and people started to experience problems in their functioning and how do we treat those problems. As a psychology around more, this is basically psychology, and we will major in psychology to get a little bit of all these philosophies. We'll put them all, but what unites is things together with like psychology is theory. You learn the biggest idea in psychology. You learn science, how will the science method apply the psychology. Along with that come ethics. You learn a lot about shady psychological experiments that were done and how we now aspire to these experiments in ethical way. Along with that come critical thinking skills and be able to look at research and evaluate what part of makes sense or what doesn't, what correlation or correlation, it helps you to be able to think through of these things. And you also learn about the critical skills of communication, learning how to communicate your thoughts and a written form in a social form and through teamwork and also through written teamwork, I guess, already into those regions and all. This is psychology and a major develop these skills, and this is my psychology a liberal art degree because you're learning basic skills that you can use to apply to a lot of different things. That's it also makes psychology good training for going to further studying in psychology. A pre-professional psychology major in go to any subfield as you major in psychology. But psychology also a here science. That means psychology is connected to many other different sciences and the other fields. The people in other fields often cite psychological research in their work. Some of those fields include marketing, business, artificial undergrad science, science, the core within science is psychology, artificial intelligence, and sociology. My model breaking about public health, neuroscience, neuroscience,